Hi, I don't know any of you that are sitting in the audience today. However, I'd like to just ask you all to take a moment, close your eyes, and try and think about the last time you said thank you to your barista, good morning to your bus driver, you're welcome to the person who held the door for you, or the last time you let someone go ahead of you in line that had one item and you had 50 at the grocery store. Yeah, seems like we want to all say that these are things we do on the regular, right? However, um, as I said, I don't know any of you, but when you really think about those common courtesies that people display every day, that we were probably, hopefully, taught to extend to our fellow human beings, how good are we at it? Um, Okay, everybody can open up their eyes. So, myself, not 100%, because who is? We're human beings, we're prone to error, correct? So, this presentation, I just want to say a little bit of an overview. We'll be just looking at common courtesies. How common are they? And if they're not so common, why? So, my name is Kathy Kelleher, and I am a mother, a daughter, a grandmother, a niece, a student, an employee, a colleague, a friend to many, and a dog mom. And most of all, I am an observer of people's behaviors. I do it professionally, and of course, my eye is trained and my brain is trained to watch for these things. So when I'm out in public, I'm usually also observing what people are doing and wondering why. So recently, when we were assigned given this assignment, I decided that I was going to do my persuasive speech on human rights because I see so many people's human rights be violated on a daily basis in my work. And I was on a bus, a New York City bus, thinking about how I would put that presentation together. And my observing skills saw so many people being so discourteous to one another across all sorts of demographics, not just like a middle school age child being discourteous to an elderly person. And I thought, wow, what has happened to courtesy? Where did it go and why? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a look at that. Courtesy, what is it? What do we know about it? Merriam-Webster defines courtesy as marked by respect and consideration of other people. So clearly, being respectful and considerate towards others is really what courtesy is all about, right? And so, that being said, we also know courtesy is a learned behavior. Where do we learn it? We learn it usually as children. We learn it from people modeling the behavior for us, our parents, our caregivers, our teachers, our coaches. The adults in our lives are usually saying please and thank you, or teaching us to say please and thank you, for starters. And, we go from there, right? Watching someone hold the door for mom while she's pushing our carriage, and all sorts of things like that. So that's how we learn it. The New York Times recently in January of 2018 published an article about how smart devices are affecting our health. And along with that, they also did a piece in that article about how it's affecting our ability to communicate. And with that came manners. So I just want to point out that when we're giving our small child a device to play with, to keep them occupied, maybe while we're in line or shopping or trying to clean the house, we're also taking away from them the ability to watch us and what we're doing and learn from our modeling behaviors. Because they get lost in the phone, and it also starts to affect their ability to communicate. So, that speaks to technology. Is technology ruining our ability to have basic good manners? Could be, right? So that's one point. And my other point is recently I'm a Catholic, Roman Catholic, and I go to church every Sunday. And when it's time for Holy Communion in the Catholic Church, it usually goes, row by row by row from the front of the church into the back of the church. Each pew stands up and goes and receives Holy Communion from the priest and the Eucharistic ministers. Most recently, there were people like from the back of the church coming up and cutting in the line, and I thought, wow, they must be in a hurry. They must have something very important to do after Mass. And then the next Sunday, it happened again. And then the third Sunday, I found myself sitting there judging a whole, probably about 100 people. And I thought, well, this is not the way I want to feel in church. I don't want to be sitting here judging people. So my solution was go to a different church where that doesn't happen. So a friend of mine called me several weeks later and asked me why I wasn't in church anymore. And I was telling him the story. And he laughed and he said, oh, that's their culture. In their country, they don't even stand in line for a bus. They push and shove each other until everybody's in. So I thought, there's another part of the courtesy thing that I wasn't thinking of when I was on that bus that day. And I certainly wasn't thinking about in church. I was just thinking there's a bunch of rude people. So cultural courtesies, are they different? How are they different? So I started to research a little bit of that, and I found out that, sure, if I make eye contact with someone in one country, that's very rude. Here in the United States, we expect everybody to make eye contact with us. So that's one example. Another example is in the business world, if I hold the door for a man, which I'm perfectly accustomed to doing here because I like to think of myself as courteous, in some countries that would be considered very offensive to that man. So, I have to consider all of those things before I stand in judgment of somebody for being discourteous. However, I do believe in the basic common courtesies that we are all taught as children, to say please, to say thank you, to smile at people, to say good morning, good evening, and have a good day. And I believe that we all, as human beings, if we display those behaviors and model those behaviors, others will pick up after that, even if it's not in their culture. If we're here in this country, maybe they'll start doing as we do, and we can all live in a more polite, nicer society. And I also just want to leave you with this thought. We don't need a teaching credential to be a teacher. So someone is always watching us, especially in today's world with technology and everybody filming everything. So let's always be on our best, right? Let's be mindful of how to be courteous and well-mannered towards others and respectful and kind. And I guarantee you, we can have a great, great world to live in. And we can teach others by doing. We don't necessarily need to teach others by being in a classroom, a formal classroom. So let's teach others by doing, and we can and we will have a nicer world to live in.